Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Houston Trong from thetradingedge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook video for July the 22nd to the 26th, 2019. And this week's video will be slightly shorter than usual. I'm actually on vacation this week in sunny Florida, but do want to take the time to share what happened this past week and what to expect for the coming week. So even though we are definitely in the midst of summer trading, there's still a lot of activity going on as we have earnings in full effect now this coming week. So for the coming week of the 22nd, there are some macro news items that you want to watch out for. On Tuesday, you have existing home sales. Wednesday, you have new home sales and the oil number, which will be interesting. Then on Thursday, jobless claims at 8:30, and Friday, GDP, which will certainly move things around, especially as it pertains to the US dollar. So watching that carefully. So let's get into the charts now. And actually, before we do that, there are some notable earnings names as well that we need to watch out for. Earnings are definitely getting into high gear in midweek, so there are some interesting names in the beginning of the week. Halliburton on Monday, Snap on Tuesday, and Visa on Tuesday. Wednesday we have Tesla, Facebook reporting, so that should be a market mover. And then on Thursday, Amazon and Google, so that will definitely move the cues around. And then Friday, McDonald's, Twitter, and a bunch of other names. So make sure once again that you're checking out the companies you're trading. Make sure you're not taking on any unnecessary earnings risk. So that being said, let's launch into the charts. So VIX. So VIX this week, and it's been the first week for a while that VIX actually had a green week. Now, did it have a big green week? No, not at all. So if you look on the weekly chart here, it was up 2.5%. So that's not a bad move, but considering where we came from, it's really not much to talk about, because before we get to the weekly chart, on the monthly chart, to begin there, we're still inside month and down, right? So as long as we stay below this prior month's low, you still have that inside month and down condition to play with. This past week, yes, it was green. It was a green week. That's positive for VIX longs, but again, it's been the first green week since 6 weeks of consecutive greens. The last green week we had was way back at the end of May. So as we've been noting for the past few weeks now, since this condition occurred, outside and down, we want to be seeing if and when momentum runs out. It runs out when a prior high gets taken out. This week it did start lower, it did crack lower, but it did end green. However, not strong enough yet to take out any of these prior highs. So for the coming week of the 22nd, we want to watch out and see, can VIX take out this week's high? This will definitely invalidate the momentum and then possibly cause move back up higher into the range. So for now though, VIX is a pretty, it was a fairly muted session, even though it was up 2.5%. As you can see here on the daily, flat on Monday, green up, then red, and then he had a lower open on Friday, but they bought it back. So this is what you want to look for here on Monday, is on the 2-day chart here now, you have this outside and up condition. If it can continue to move upwards here, that means you have that momentum condition in force. However, if they break below that low, we can expect the selling to recontinue again. So watch this low here on the 2-day chart to get taken out. The thing with VIX right now that you don't want to be getting too bullish on the long side, because right now you have this time frame conflict. That purple line here looks kind of dark. It's actually a combination of the orange and the blue lines together. That's the the monthly and quarterly open. So right now you're stuck in between that open and the open down here. That was the weekly open down here. So you have this bit of chop going on now that's happening as you have this time frame conflict. So ideally, VIX price wise clears either the top end of this or the bottom end of that to clear this this time frame conflict. If it just breaks back below, let's say it opens up here and then it cracks below, that's going to be easy once again, because then you're going to have full time frame alignment to the downside. Here, if it opens up, somewhere around here and starts to trade up, you want to see it take out this level. Otherwise, you can't really trust the moves, as it can get very, very choppy. Now, let's talk about the SPY. So let's go to SPY now. Oops, excuse me. Let's go to SPY. And on the SPY, we have this condition here on the monthly. So it's still outside, and up. So the momentum's still up there because it's still holding above the prior month's range. Okay, and we still got a good 2 trading weeks to go here. Not quite 2, but roughly 2 trading weeks to go. So in the SPY, just like the VIX, kind of the opposite, even though you had a red week, it was still insufficient to take out the prior week's lows. So you still had this momentum up condition where it went up, 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 and now we're waiting for a low to get taken out before the trend really turns around. Because right here now, you're challenging on the downside, you're challenging that monthly and quarterly open. So it's very close here now. If it can break below there and then take out this prior week's lows, you have the possibility for the shorts to have full time frame alignment to the downside. Especially if the week opens up, wherever it opens up here, the price can then break below these areas. Now you have a full time frame alignment short available to you. All right. Now, same thing with the Qs. So quick analysis today, because it's actually quite choppy because we have that time frame conflict. You still have this outside and up condition. Outside down. It took out that prior high already in the monthly chart. That's what you wanted to see. Now, what we're looking for here is this outside up, 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 and up. You want to see this low get taken out. Can we see this low break and then have that full time frame alignment to the downside? Otherwise, right now, all we have is a red week. Not enough yet to get the really, really good confirmation that things are turning around, because the month is still green, right? We're still trading above that quarterly monthly open. So once we break below that level, then it sets up a very, very compelling short scenario. Same thing on the Russell, red week. So indices all opened up high and basically closed near the weekly lows. So here on the Russell, outside, inside, and up, but failed to break above and stay above. So I was hopeful, and it still could happen. There's still, roughly, you could say about 8 trading days left in the month. Outside, inside, and up, I was hopeful that you're going to get a chance for this thing to stay above the prior month's high, to go after that previous pivot high. Right now, the sellers are not allowing that to happen, and you have this condition now where you're full-time or close to full-time from alignment to the downside. Actually, you are full-time from alignment to the downside on the Russell. So the Russell is actually the weakest of all these indices here. You definitely want to be watching out here now that it can possibly break back down and come back through this range. If you look at the weekly, red week, of course, but it took out the prior week's low. Okay, so there, it took out the prior week's low, and now these pivots are possibly in play, or they are in play now, and they're going to come after these pivots next. So watch out for that on the Russell. On the Dow, also a red week. So all the indices kind of ended the week on a low note, but the Dow's still pretty strong. We still have this large green month. It went outside bar and up, and the momentum's still there. But as we had on the other SPY and Q indices, we had this outside and up condition, and the low of the prior week hasn't been taken out yet. Now, this bar is very small this week, right? So it's a very small bar. The low there, it's only a 0.7% loss this past week. But now this sets it up very nicely for this low to get taken out, because it's such a small bar. The low is very easy to go after. So now on Monday, you want to see how that low gets taken out, but you're still far away from this quarterly open and monthly open. So out of the 4 indices, Dow right now is certainly the strongest of them, because it is farthest from its quarterly and monthly opens. Now TSX, let's talk about the Canadian Stock Exchange. Okay. And it's really doing a whole lot of nothing. How can you tell? Well, first off, on the monthly chart, you have a green bar. So very, very tight doji right now. And now, after 2 weeks of trading. The weekly, look how tight that doji is on the week, and it's inside bar. So it just tells you how tight the trading is. Clearly most of the traders that went on vacation this past week as pertains to the TSX composite, because there isn't a lot going on. Opened right there, ended right there. So basically went a lot of nowhere, down 0.01% for the week. So TSX is definitely not where the action is happening. As you can see here, and if it's not evident enough on the weekly chart, this is what you want to watch out for when you're trading inside conditions. Is this here, right? So you see you have an inside bar, it broke to the downside, went outside bar, it broke up, but then it came back into the range again. All this stuff is sitting inside this outside bar's range. Okay, so that's why that's represented in this way, in this manner. So these past 2 weeks, it's been this tight chop stuff here on the 2-day chart. Now, if you're trying to trade this stuff intraday, this stuff will really chop you up if you're looking for any directional moves. Not bad if you're an option seller, but if you try trading directionally, this stuff here will kill you, and you want to learn to stay away from this kind of stuff. So better fishing and better opportunities elsewhere. Let's look at the emerging markets. Also, not doing a heck of a lot. So right now, emerging markets trading below the majority of the time frames. So below the monthly open, below the quarterly open, this week below the weekly open. So that's why we have a red month and a red week, but not going very far. This week was only, it's a red bar, but it was actually up 0.02% because it actually gapped down. It went down earlier in the week and then came back up again. But barely any returns there, pretty much flat. So here I'm still short on EEM. So here, inside bar reversal to the upside. Inside bar up, and then it did a reversal. Now, if this thing breaks above this level here, I'm going to consider getting out because I think there's better opportunities than simply sitting in and wasting the money, having just sit in something that's not moving like EM. But I'm going to give it a bit of space because it is summertime trading, but you can just see how tight the trading is right now as it's just basically sideways. All this stuff here is sitting inside this range. So here on the daily chart, you have this very tight sequence, very tight doji. Outside bar goes outside bar and down. It breaks down further, but then they take it back up here. Once that high gets taken out on the daily chart, that means momentum runs out. Okay, so this, once it takes out that high there, then the buyers are going to go after that pivot, and that's what they did on Friday. So they popped it up, but then they sold it off again. They sold it back down, back into the range. So EM not doing a heck of a lot here in these summer markets. So let's take a look at TLT, which also had a green week, but it's a bit conflicted. And it's not doing a heck of a lot either. Just based upon that, you can see it, that it's actually an inside week. So in the month, red month, outside bar. We want to watch out for that next month. This week, outside bar and down, now inside bar. So the sellers had their chance here. I'm short TLT, full disclosure. I'm short from this level here, the low of this inside bar. Once it broke through there, this was a nice selling move last week. Now the sellers could not push it any further down, and now we have some consolidation, a bit of a stalemate here now between the buyers and the sellers. Inside week. Now, if you're short, you do not want to see this high get taken out, and that's where I'm going to get out. If the buyers can come back in and break above this inside bar high, this means the momentum to the downside, this particular momentum anyways, has been invalidated, and then the buyers have a chance to challenge the quarterly and monthly open and take it back up into those highs again. So that's what I'm waiting for. Now, the sellers, if they can break below that inside bar, then this is just consolidation, right? And then you're going to have fresh selling hit TLT to the downside. But you can see what kind of week it was. Very, very tight stuff here as it spent the last 3 days just chopping around this particular range in its kind of mixed time frame alignment, right? Above the weekly open, but below the quarterly and monthly open. You really want to see this time frame conflict resolve itself because you're going to get this kind of chop when you have that type of conflict. You can just see by the Bollinger Bands. We don't talk about these too much, but when you have this tight stuff going on where the bands actually begin to narrow and go flat like this, that's just symptomatic of consolidation. You see this too happening on the 2-day chart, meaning this could consolidate even further. Maybe something like the GDP number on Friday will give it a little bit of a push to break out of the consolidation. We'll have to wait and see what comes out of that. Let's talk about UKOIL. So UKOIL had a interesting week. And on the UK oil chart, we had a nice green week in the prior week. It's up 3.25%, 3.37%, excuse me. But this week we had some aggressive selling, 6% to the downside. So now with oil, we have this thing trading full time from alignment to the downside. So we have a red month, red quarter. The weekly here went down, it opened up here, sold down. Once it broke below that quarterly monthly open, now we have a big red bar taking out the prior week's range. And this is what you want to look out for here on the 2-day chart and daily chart. So the 2-day chart was this inside bar up and down now. Bit of a hammer here on the 2-day chart, but nothing significant. On the daily chart, this is what you want to look out for. Can the sellers continue the momentum move to the downside? This move up was nice for the buyers, right? With that move there was a 3.25% move here. It created a fresh high, right? So you can see here, it created a fresh high. This high here is higher than that pivot high there. Now, this selling here gets kicks off with this pattern, inside, outside, all right? And once the sellers break below that inside bar low and this outside bar low, the momentum to the downside kicks in. So now you have an outside bar and down scenario, down, down, down. Okay, so that looks a lot like that VIX chart that we saw in the beginning. So now this selling pressure is on until this high gets taken out. So you want to see on Monday, can they take out Friday's highs? If the buyers can take out Friday's highs, then this selling pressure for the time being has been alleviated. However, if it keeps going down, so long as the pivot highs aren't getting taken out, these prior highs, then the selling pressure is still on, and these guys who put their stops here are potentially at risk. That's what you want to be looking for here, is what happens at this next bar on Monday. Okay, let's talk about gold, because gold had an interesting week. So let's talk about gold now, XAUUSD. And on the gold front, we have a nice green month on the monthly chart, trading above those quarterly highs. Here on the weekly, it went inside week. Remember, we had that inside week. It was consolidating. It looked like for a second, maybe it was going to break down, but the lows held of that week held. It went inside week and up. So this week it was an inside week and up, but it only pushed up. It had a nice push on Thursday, but it kind of came in on Friday. So you can see here now that you're really not trading above the prior week's high much, but it was an inside break to the upside. It just didn't go very far. Okay, so on the daily chart, this is what you want to be looking for, is you have this outside and up condition. Outside and up, that's your Thursday. They had a really good day here, so outside and up, momentum in full effect. And Friday, it popped up further, but then, started here, it popped up, but then it came back down again through the range. So if this low gets taken out here, right there, this low, Friday's low gets taken out, that means this momentum move has been has basically been broken. On the 2-day chart, same kind of thing. It's going to be the same kind of level right here, inside, outside, and up. If this low gets taken out right there, that'll make the week red. And then right there is your quarterly, monthly open. So watch out for that, because once again, it trades below this level, you're going to have red quarters and red months. Okay. Now, one trade that worked out really, really well, and I hope some of you guys caught it, was GDXJ. We talked about the junior miners in last week's video, and I talked about the potential for GDXJ to have a multi-quarter, maybe even a multi-year move. This past week, GDXJ had a fantastic move of 10%. You could have played it with GDXJ or JNUG for that matter. JNUG, if you want the extra leverage, I think thing was up close to 20%. So even more than that, 32% on JNUG. So that's just because it's a 3 times ETF. Now back to GDXJ. If you recall, I talked about the 12-month chart. 12-month chart on GDXJ, and it all kicked off here. All right, so we said inside bar and down, sellers get stopped out when this thing goes reversal. So that means it takes out this prior bar's high, and it's going to go back and challenge this pivot high now. That pivot high and possibly that pivot high. Okay, so you have a lot of upside potential available to you here with GDXJ. Now, GDXJ, why it worked so well is not only did you have that yearly signal kick in using the inside bar reversal, but it was also in congruence with this outside bar and up scenario on the 3-month. That kicked off here this past week, outside bar and up. And what actually triggered the outside bar and up, 36.08, what caused the prior quarter's high to get taken out, was this scenario here on the daily, which I was pointing out, saying, watch how this gets resolved on Monday. Here, outside bar, inside bar. If that thing breaks, it's going to take out 36.08, and that's what happened there. On Monday, it hit 36.10, lots of time to get in there, and then Tuesday, it kind of, didn't do much, but then Thursday, Friday, we had, some great days on GDXJ. Unfortunately for me, because I am on vacation, I took the trade, but I wasn't around the computer to manage it well, so I got out way too early as I set my targets way too tight, and so I think I got out around this sequence in here. and I really should be holding this longer. So I still have some gold exposure through Nugget, which is from another trade, but unfortunately I'm out of my GDXJ long, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. But that's the way the breaks go. Sometimes when you go on vacation, you're not around to manage these things as well as you can. So GDXJ is certainly looking really, really strong here. Now, digital gold, Bitcoin, had a bit of a rough week, but now bouncing back a bit over the weekend. One thing I noticed quite often in this past bull market run for Bitcoin and cryptos for that matter is that Fridays tend to be pretty good days for, not just Fridays, but Friday evenings tend to be good days for the cryptos. I think a lot of retail traders, they finish their work or whatever most people do, and then they go home and they start trading cryptos over the weekend, because cryptos generally have been doing pretty well on the weekends, which has been an interesting observation. So what do we have? Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a rough week, so we took out last week's low. I'm just going on the monthly chart here. So the question, in my mind, and you see all these bears talking, and all these bulls talking, both directions. In my mind, here's the issue. How does this month get out of last month's range? It's an inside month, right? Because this bar here is a 6,000 point bar. Okay, so the month of June, there was a 6,000 point move here. How to get outside of this range? Right now, you can see it on the monthly chart. You're right in the middle of that range. So all the fluctuations we've seen in Bitcoin, and people talking both, bullish and bearish, you can easily make the case for both. Bullish being, Libra, Facebook's coin, bringing all the attention to the crypto space. And that's one of the big bullish arguments. And then one of the bearish arguments is of course Libra again. You use the same argument both ways, that Facebook's coin is also bearish for the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. But anyways, the point being, the price really rules, because all the price is telling you right now is that it's inside. It cannot get outside get outside of June's range. So how to get outside of June's range? You're not going to be able to probably do it this month. It's probably going to require an inside break of this month, next month, perhaps in in August or September. So for now, Bitcoin coming back here, having a late stage rally at the end of the week here to take it back green again and bringing it back above that quarterly monthly open. Because here, up until today, we're trading below that quarterly monthly open right there. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, this is a bit before. So 5 out of these 6 bars were below the quarterly monthly open. But the buyer stepped in right here. So I'll show you in the 2-day chart. And I got long a bit of Bitcoin again, just as a trade. I have a longer term holding, but as a trade, I'm getting back into Bitcoin. This is what got me back in. So here, outside bar and down. Okay, down, down, down. Looks a lot like the VIX chart and another charts we talked about already. Once it broke above this prior high, that means the momentum has been invalidated. So this is for a longer swing term trade. Because I'm on vacation, I'm not going to be watching it that carefully. But I want to see. I bought at 10,760. Yeah, 10,7. Yeah, I think it's what's the range here? 10,797. Actually, is this the same Bitcoin chart here? I want to make sure I'm using the BitFenix chart. I think we're looking at the Bitstamp chart. They look very similar, but so the data is just a bit different. Yeah, so here we go. 10,760 because I'm trading in Bitfenix. Exactly the same pattern. Outside bar down, right? Down, down, down. Let's take out this here. And very straightforward trade. Want to see this low here gets hold, and I might even consider taking it off if it breaks below this low here. It all depends on how it opens this coming week on Monday or Sunday evening. Outside bar and down, down, down. Once that high gets taken out, it means momentum's left the building, and so I bought on that high, 10,760. Now let's look at the total chart. And for that trade, on Bitcoin, I'm not looking for a large move, obviously, because I still think we stay inside of this month's range. So I'm going to trail it once it's profitable and I get a few bars in my favor. I'm going to trail it and expect to get stopped out as it pulls back in, or maybe even taking out this pivot high here, ideally. But not expecting to go straight to the moon here. But we'll take the shot and we'll see what happens from it. Okay, let's talk about total now. Okay, and total same kind of condition, right? So you got your inside month on total, red month. Weekly chart, not bad. This is actually more than a bullish hammer now. Here's the situation, right? Outside bar and down on the week. So that's quite bullish because or potentially bullish because if this next week kicks in and buyers step up and they take out this week's high, then they can go outside bar and down and back up again and to go after that prior high there. There's your quarterly monthly open, so still below. So trading below, you still need to clear that level for things can kick back in. But same situation here, right? Outside bar and down, ended with an inside bar. Sellers cannot take it down anymore. Buyers stepped back up, took out that pivot high. Now they're going to try to take out some of these pivot highs. The question is, can sellers step back in again, or will there be any news for sellers to step back in again? Of course, the big story of the week, I think that caused most of the downturn here in equities anyways, was a couple of names. First, earlier in the week, we had CSX, which looked quite ugly on the week, and that was, of course, a earnings issue. So earnings all the way down. This is the kind of pattern that can stop out and trap a lot of people. If you just look at the monthly chart and just not look at the daily for a second, because obviously the daily chart is influenced by this gap, but on the monthly chart, it's going to take time for this thing to heal because you have this situation here: outside, inside, and down, right? So that's the earnings. It took out the prior month's low and the month prior's low. So can it come back through this range, or does it do this? What happened here back in 2018? Very, very similar pattern. Let's note how similar that is. Outside, inside, and outside bar down. Exact same thing here. All right. So it went down lower, and it took a whole month to consolidate, and then once it went outside, inside, back up, then you're going to come back to the range again. And that's what you want to be looking for here for CXX is, does it keep going outside bar down, down, down? Or do you go outside, inside at some point, get an inside bar, and then take out this high and go back up? That's that'd be a mirror image scenario here if it happened again on CSX. Interesting chart. Netflix, obviously another earnings miss. Well, not earnings miss, but I guess subscribers were not in line with the growth that people expected. So now looking like an ugly chart, right? And this just looks like a big old broadening formation because you can see the monthly chart, that's what it is. You have 3 outside bars, not in a row, but there's 3 outside bars. Outside bar, outside bar. This takes out a lower low, but this high is higher than this bar's high. Is it higher than here? Let's see. 385.99, not quite. So this high is not quite as high as that high. So you still have this kind of situation here where it took out all these pivots in here. Okay, so very ugly looking chart now. Netflix will take some time to heal that chart because it is not a nice looking chart here. So this is the scenario now with Netflix. I'm going to delete this line here. So we're looking at the quarterly chart now on Netflix. It had gone inside bar and up. Okay, the issue here is that they took out that month's low. That's why I showed you the monthly chart. Or took out those 3 monthly lows. Well, that's that low there, that quarter's low. And so now it went inside bar reversal. So inside bar reversal, if they want to, if they can, they're going to go after that pivot there, that inside bar pivot. Because it went inside bar up, inside bar reversal, then people know the stops are right there. So that's the issue now with Netflix, is that buyers don't step up here and try to defend. That ultimately will be a very, very attractive target to go after, because it's far enough away to make it a very, very interesting target to go after. Okay, let's talk about one final chart. Actually, let's do 2 more charts. Let's do 2 more charts. 2 more sectors. One's retail. I think we talked about CROX just a few weeks ago, and CROX what a move this week. So CROX inside quarter still, but here's what kicked it off on the CROX move. This, and I brought this one up a few weeks ago. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Outside bar and down, and now once that high gets taken out, come back up to the range. Like I said, CROX could be the season for CROX. And so now you have this nice big green month that started off here. All right, so last week, you see this outside bar and down. Once that low gets taken out, they're going to go after the prior pivots. So this pivot here takes out that pivot, and then they'd have one after that pivot this week. So that all got taken out. Now the question is, can they come up to this pivot here? This is a good start. Inside weekend up, full time from alignment to the upside. All right, so full time from alignment to the upside on CROX, inside bar and up. So nice trading It was a little bit choppier on if you're trying to take a swing, but on the intraday stuff, there was a lot of opportunity there. There were some really fantastic intraday trades on the CROX name. One final industry, or one final sector, excuse me, and one name, semis. So we do have a lot of earnings coming up around semis names, but there are a lot of semis names that are potentially setting up to go up higher. Right now, semis, so the SMH ETF, inside month and up. Okay, so right now you have room to go after as well. Easily this high here, 117.88, only 55 cents away. I'd be surprised if at some point that 150. Yeah, I'd be surprised if this thing doesn't get taken out at some point. So Intel has a very similar pattern on the monthly. Here, outside bar and down, inside bar. Once that high gets taken out there, it's going after that pivot and potentially that pivot. So Intel setting up for something quite interesting if it can get through the earnings season here. Earnings comes out right there on the looks like the 24th, 25th. So watch out for Intel. You don't want to simply be buying blindly, as they will report earnings. TXN, oops, same thing here. Also looking like a strong chart, monthly and up. Okay, so inside month and up now. Can it keep going? But again, you do have earnings on the 23rd, it looks like. A bunch of semis names. So, so many semi names to talk about. I'm going to pull up maybe one more, Corvo. Okay, so QRVO, inside month and up here now. It's a red month, so it got stuck below the quarterly monthly open, and it does have earnings at the beginning of August. Something to watch out for. But this thing here, if it can do its job, it can possibly take out this high back in May. So I hope you found this week's market outlook useful. As always, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. If you can do me a big favor and give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the video, it will help us find more traders to join our community and help us grow this thing even further and further. Have yourself a great trading week. Happy trading, and have a happy summer holidays if you're taking the time off. All the best.